Welcome back to Coming Home Well, straight to the point. We again have Dr. Paul Lawrence, the former Undersecretary for Benefits at the Veterans Affairs. He's no longer in office, so he can say what actually happens. Paul, thanks so much for joining us on Coming Home Well.
Hey, it's great to be with you, Tyler, and continue thanks for what you do to help veterans get the right information about their benefits and the things they've earned.
So let's talk about benefits and the things that people have earned. Sometimes people get bad paper. They get out of the military. It's not the best discharge. It's not the worst, but they think they can't go to the VA. But that's not entirely true, is it?
That's right. I'm really glad you're bringing this up because your benefits depend upon the discharge you've earned in service. Okay, so let's go to the extremes. Obviously, if you were honorably discharged, that's a good thing, and all the benefits are yours. If you were dishonorably discharged, you're technically not a veteran, so you have no access to veterans benefits. And there's some gradations in between, so let's make it simple. If you get, you said bad paper, that's often what people refer to as other than honorable or OTH. So let's call it OTH for this conversation. If you are OTH, you are technically not eligible for some benefits. And so when veterans hear this, they go, oh, I got an OTH, I'm not eligible, and they don't come to VA. Well, there is a process to have your discharge reviewed. It's called the Character of Discharge Review. And what happens is you have a chance, and it's kind of complicated how it happens. It will not happen unless you apply for benefits. So, if you have OTH and you have a disability or you're injured, apply for disability compensation. And when you do that, what will happen is they will conduct the character of discharge review. And so they will reach to the military and get your personnel record, your medical record, and anything they can get from the military that'll help them understand what happened. They'll then invite the veteran to produce information, a statement, evidence, even statements from third parties about what went on. And at the end of this process, it generally takes about a year, they may determine that, gee, for the purpose of benefits, your service will be characterized as other than dishonorable. Okay, so it gets really kind of nuanced, right? And then when they do that, you are now eligible for many benefits, not the GI Bill education benefit, because that requires honorable discharge, but you
Mm-hmm.
can be eligible. And so the best way to do is example, and this is a very superficial example for a purpose of doing whatever. A service member serves honorably for 3 years. Okay. You know, one night he finds out his wife is going to divorce him. I'll use a male example. Is going to divorce him, under duress, takes drugs, and is arrested and gets an OTH. He would argue in this example, the preponderance of my time was very good. I had one bad day. Can't you kind of see your way through that? Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
then, of course, you can kind of see the natural connects, right? I later found out I had PTSD, and that explained some of the problems I had, right? Or I was homosexual when that wasn't allowed, and now our view on that has changed. I should have had, it should have been very, very different. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's key on this, and I'll stop and let you ask questions, Tyler, is this does not change your DD 214. Okay. This only enables you to access benefits. To change your DD 214, there's yet another process run by the Department of Defense and actually by each of the services. And if folks want to get their DD 214, they have to go do that. It's very, very complicated and not really to be discussed today because we're really talking about how you access benefits. So again, character of discharge review, produce evidence, and if it works out right, you'll be characterized as other than dishonorable for VA benefits.
So just to summarize, an OTH, other than honorable, so you might have had some trouble, might have, whatever the situation was, it wasn't honorable. Those are easy. So it's somewhere in the middle. It was not like you went to prison for 10 years. That's a dishonorable. That's how those go. But somewhere in the middle, and you say, hey, VA, I need benefits. My knee and back, and my PTSD, and or whatever the case is. And they say, hey, you had bad paper, but what's your story? Why did this happen? And a lot of times it is PTSD or some other things that were going on. It's not like you're doing like big time crimes. That's another whole category. And they said, hey, for VA purposes, we're going to say you're eligible for benefits like disability or education,
No,
except
no,
for
no,
the
no, no,
GI Bill, but
no,
voc
no, no, no.
rehab and things like
Yeah, yeah.
that.
Hold on. Everything you said is accurate except for the GI Bill. By
Right.
law, that requires an honorable discharge. So you'll not be able to access the education benefit of the GI Bill. But everything you said is exactly that. For the purpose of disability compensation, pension, loan guarantee, once this determination is made, you now have access to those benefits, right?
Yeah, and I was misspeaking because I was thinking of voc rehab when I said
Yeah, right.
education.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. So I think what's important is, you need to know, hey, there is a possibility and you have to be prepared to go through this process. You will be asked to explain,
Hmm.
okay? You'll be encouraged to explain. You can have a hearing if you want where you can explain it in person or tell whatever, okay? But you will have to go through a process. Not a slam dunk, but again, it is regular people are determined that they are eligible for benefits because they can explain, just, a basically good service period with,
Hmm.
you know, an exception that can be explained.
So if they, let's just take the other end of the example, they were a dirtbag throughout their service. They had problems all throughout, and they got kicked out at a year. Is that more or less likely? Or I mean, obviously, it depends a lot on the specifics.
Yeah.
Do they also apply no matter what?
Yeah, so well they can, but after the scenario described is going to be hard to say the preponderance of my service was really good because they're going to get on this record and most likely now I'm making this up too. Article 15's, sanction penalty, like they're going to go, hey, your service was really whatever they said it was, and so
Hmm.
it's just more. I think the example is everything was good, but I can tell you about the one thing that sort of did me in. Like that's the way to think about it. But again, we're speculating on the determination, so we shouldn't do that. I think the headline is if you got OTH, you know, you should not be discouraged. You may have access to benefits, and there is a process to review it. And of course, like everything else, if you're unhappy, you can appeal it. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that's kind of the real headline. And again, it doesn't affect your DD 214. That's a process run by the Department of Defense. But for the purpose of benefits, they may be able to see their way to providing benefits to this veteran.
So that's a great takeaway because a lot of the times people say, oh, well, that's just how it is. There's no need to even bother with
Yeah.
it. And it's not dealing with upgrading your discharge. And there's a lot of old wives' tales and barracks lawyers that'll tell you if you get bad paper, you can just, 90 days and ask to be upgraded. Dealing with the Department of Defense and the services to upgrade discharge is another whole conversation. But we've had people on Coming Home Well. Go listen to those podcasts. It's a lot more involved. But dealing with the VA, they can make their own determination about the character of service for VA benefits.
That's exactly right. That's the headline.
That's
There's
a
no
whole lot better than zero and nothing.
Yeah, there's no penalty for applying. Okay. And there's, if you can make a good present evidence of the situation, you may get benefits.
Is there anything else we need to know about how to apply for the characterization review, or does it happen automatically?
It happens automatically. You have to apply for a benefit. They will not do this just cause, right? You apply for a benefit, they would see your OTH in this example, and they would go, oh, okay, now we have to review this, and that would kick the process off.
Do they reach out to the person that's applying for benefits to say, hey, do you have any information
Exactly.
or what's your case?
Exactly. They will reach out. They will go get the official information from the Department of Defense or the service you were in or whatever, and then they'll reach out to the veteran and say, we got it. Here's the options, what you can do. You can provide information. You can have a hearing. You can do whatever. So again, the service member, now veteran in this example, has to be prepared to do this because, as you know, in all of life, you will be your best advocate. And if you have a, legitimate story, it's easier to tell than if you don't have a legitimate story.
Be prepared. That's an easy approach. Folks, this has been straight to the point, a service of Coming Home Well with Dr. Paul Lawrence. Now go check out Paul Lawrence on LinkedIn. He is a dynamo about helping veterans connect with veterans. There's all sorts of things, and he does a number of discussions and talks and posts. Go check him out on LinkedIn. It's super easy to find. Paul, thanks so much for joining us on Coming Home Well.
Thanks, Tyler, and thanks for the plug for LinkedIn. Yeah, please follow me. Trying to get lots of information out to veterans about their benefits and again, things they've earned for their service.
Absolutely. Thanks again.